I want to just talk about something which it's something I heard recently in around binge eating, and I thought it was a great way to look at it. So it's about looking at binge eating and the urges as waves. So picture the ocean, picture waves coming in. So there's obviously small waves, there's waves that are similar of a similar height, there's bigger waves, and then it goes all the way up to like tsunami type waves that there are. And picture your urges as these waves. So sometimes they're small and they just move past, they get into the shallows and they disappear. So they were small to begin with, they've moved through, and like all urges, they disappear anyway. So it's like the water, as it's getting closer to the shore, the waves will disappear. And then there's really big urges, which big waves, which start far out at sea, and they continue on for a lot longer, but they still do get smaller as time goes on, especially obviously when they come in closer to the shore. So we can work through the small waves. So the small urges, they come and go. It's the big urges that people are having problems with. But like all urges, they do dissipate, they disappear, like just like the waves. So there's a Buddhist saying which says, "Be the ocean, not the waves." And that's very relevant here. So you want to picture yourself as the whole ocean, and picture these waves as these things which come and go. Sometimes they're bigger, sometimes they're smaller, but they will always come and go. And when you're in the middle of one of those, and when you feel like you are that big wave and that urge is really taking over, I want you to picture yourself as the ocean, not the wave. And that's going to distance yourself then from that urge. And what I want you to think about right now. So let's say right now you don't have any urges at all. Let's call this your rational self. So have a think about your binge eating, right? And have a think about the urges you get, the waves you get. Think about them right now. So when you're this person, when you're this rational self, have a think about your last urge, your last binge, whatever that was. And picture, where are you? What are you feeling when that's happening? How different is that to where you are right now? I want you to view the binge person, the person that's in the urges, from this very rational point. And I want you to consider, right, when I'm in that urge, do I want it to go away? If I could click my fingers and make that urge go away, would I make that go away? Would I do that? Or would I ride the wave? And do I want to become bigger and bigger? Am I actually causing this urge to take absolute root, to grow and grow and grow to this tsunami size until I go and binge? And I want you to think about that in detail. And what we also want to do is help you to overcome the insecurities. So it's these doubts that you have that, and by the way, these are always things which are kept privately. So these kind of insecurities that you have, when they're kept private and kept to yourself, that's when they really are taking effect there. But once you say them out loud, and once you add them to paper, like we said in the last video, once you record yourself saying those, that's going to help you to totally break through all those insecurities. And again, this is going to distance you from that person who has those insecurities. So I want you to do that now as well. We've started recording ourselves when we were talking through our goals and things, so that you can be repeating them on a daily basis. But I also want you to record any of those insecurities that you have. And when you start listening to them and when you start saying them out loud, that's going to totally help you to distance yourself from them, and that's going to help you break through those barriers. So remember, those insecurities are like the waves. And when you're listening to them back, you'll be doing it from that rational point where you're the ocean at that point. And we want to become more like the ocean. And when you feel those waves coming, you can say, right, these are the waves. And just being able to visualize that means you're very different from the type of person who was unaware of this, who didn't do any of these this mindset training techniques. And when you had the waves in the past, you didn't realize, right, I can be the ocean. You didn't realize that, these will dissipate. That these will disappear. All I need to do is get through this urge, and it could be 10 minutes, 5 minutes, or 2 hours. You're going to be out the other side, and you're going to be that person who didn't root through the cupboards and find the ice cream at the end of the freezer and just absolutely dig into it. You'll be that person who was able to stand back and say, I'm the ocean, there's a wave happening here, but I'm distancing myself from that. And you'll be able to do some of the other techniques, stay full, as do all those other techniques there. And then as that evening passes, you'll realize, right, that wave became smaller and smaller, and then it eventually disappeared back into the ocean. And again, all this is going to help this to separate you from the negative, to become that more positive person who ultimately then ends up winning the week. And this is something that you can do anytime that you have urges. You can picture those urges as the wave, and visualize yourself as being that ocean, the bigger picture. And those urges are just a very small fraction of you, of yourself. Because you are the ocean, you aren't the wave. That is an urge, and that comes and goes.